Asking whether real estate is worth it in 2026 is really asking three quieter questions. First, what job do you need property to do in your life right now? Shelter, stability, income, inflation protection, or ego? Second, what price will you pay to make that job happen? Cash today, cash flow tomorrow, time, stress, and risk. Third, what are the alternatives? Where else could that same money work for you with less friction or more flexibility? The answer is not a headline. It is a fit check between your season, a specific piece of property, and a plan you can execute when the market is loud. Property can be wonderful. It can also be a beautifully painted vending machine that eats your weekends and your cash if you confuse the idea with the math. In 2026, the winners will be people who stop arguing about whether real estate is good and start defining in writing what makes a particular deal good for them. Begin with the job description. Owning your home is a different business than owning an investment property. One is a lifestyle decision with financial side effects. The other is a financial decision with lifestyle side effects. Mixing these up is how people end up house poor or landlord tired. If you want stability for a family, control over your space, and the long, slow hedge against inflation that comes from fixing a major cost, a primary home can be an excellent use of capital, provided the payment fits your life even on an average year, not just on the spreadsheet's best day. If you want cash flow, equity growth subsidized by tenants, and leveraged exposure to a local market, that is a different set of skills, different risk, and a different calendar. You can do both in a lifetime. You just shouldn't try to do both with the same property on day one. The money environment in 2026 is not a puzzle to solve so much as a weather pattern to dress for. Prices in many markets remain elevated by years of underbuilding and by owners who don't want to trade low mortgages for higher ones, which throttles supply. Rents are mixed. High in some urban cores with job growth, flat to down in places where new apartments finally hit the market. Rates may not be the emergency they felt like when they first rose, but they still ask you to respect cash flow. What matters is not a national chart. What matters is your local delta, wages relative to prices where you live, vacancy and absorption where you want to buy, and demand drivers that will outlast a single cycle. Universities, hospitals, ports, diversified employers, transit that actually moves, zoning that allows housing to be built. When people talk about the housing market, they often mean 5 zip codes and their feelings about brunch. You are not buying a feeling. You are buying a building on a street served by a specific set of jobs and roads. Walk the street, price the jobs. If you are buying a primary residence in 2026, stop asking strangers whether it's a good time and start asking your budget whether it's a safe time. Safety means a total monthly payment, mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, and a maintenance reserve that leaves your savings rate intact. A common quiet mistake is to treat principal repayment as savings and to forget that houses also eat cash. A practical rule is to keep your all-in housing around a percentage of take-home that still lets you save 15 to 25% for the rest of your life. If the only way to buy is to push the payment until the savings rate dies, renting can be the richer move even when rent feels like throwing money away. It isn't. Rent buys flexibility, optionality, and the right to keep investing in broad markets while you wait for the right address instead of any address. Down payment math is where many people freeze. You do not need 20% to buy a home, but you do need enough to make the rest of the plan sane. Less money down can make sense if it gets you into a modest, long-term fit without draining the emergency fund and without taking on a payment that assumes nothing will ever break. More money down lowers the payment and the rate, which lowers heart rate at night. The right number is the number that leaves 3 months of living expenses sitting untouched after closing, sets aside a starter maintenance fund on day one, and lets you sleep. In 2026, sleep beats speed. You are not late. You are shopping for a contract you will live inside for a long time. You can afford to insist on terms that make Tuesday livable. Maintenance is not a rounding error. It is the tuition you pay to be your own landlord. Budget 1 to 2% of the home's value per year for repairs and replacements, skewing higher for older homes with tired systems and for regions with weather that wants to play. That number will not be spent evenly. It will arrive as surprise drama. Water heater, Roof, HVAC, mysterious leak, electrical panel with 1970s opinions. A home you can barely afford is a home one water heater away from becoming a story about shame. A home you can comfortably afford shrugs at a leak and fixes it. In 2026, when contractors are busy and parts take time, cash solves stress. You do not need a granite countertop. You need a boring savings account that says, "We expected this." If you are buying to invest, 2026 rewards the boring operator more than the bold storyteller. Underwrite in grayscale, not in Instagram. The formula is dull and undefeated. Buy at a basis that allows conservative rents to cover principal, interest, taxes, insurance, utilities you must pay, and a real reserve for repairs, vacancy, and capital expenditures. Demand a yield that compensates you for the fact that this investment is illiquid, local, and requires work. Stress test with higher vacancies, slightly lower rents, and real-world turns between tenants. If the deal still stands, you have a property that will survive a colder season and thrive in a warmer one. If the only way the numbers work is to assume rent growth that reads like fan fiction or to ignore repairs because the last owner said it was fine, you're not underwriting, you're wishing. Leverage makes real estate powerful and dangerous. It allows you to control a large asset with a smaller amount of equity, so your returns on equity can look heroic when everything goes up. It also means a small mistake can be amplified into stress. In 2026, with financing still meaningful and spreads not as forgiving as the zero-rate era, you use debt like a tool you respect. Fixed or long fixed period loans on properties that cash flow at acquisition let you sleep. Variable rates and thin margins are for people who love phone calls from the bank. There are seasons for aggressive leverage, there are seasons for debt that behaves. This is the latter unless your cash flow, reserves, and skill can carry surprises. Short-term rentals were sold as a cheat code. In some places, with the right permit and the right calendar, they remain a strong business. In many places, regulations, taxes, cleaning costs, and a wave of competition have turned them into jobs with a uniform. The 2026 test is simple. If the property does not pencil as a long-term rental under conservative assumptions, the short-term strategy is an upside, not the base. If short-term is the only way to break even, you own a business, not an investment, and the town council is your partner, even if they don't know you. Make peace with that or buy something else. House hacking stays undefeated as an entry strategy in most markets and most rate regimes. Renting the basement or the extra bedroom, living in one unit of a duplex, or building an accessory dwelling you can legally rent changes the math of an expensive address. In 2026, with permits and codes under scrutiny in many cities, the difference between smart and miserable is doing it clean. Know the rules, talk to neighbors, price the build with 2 quotes and a contingency, then size your loan for the total, not the dream. If you can remove a car payment from your life by walking more and covering housing with rent from a roommate, you have given yourself a raise that doesn't depend on anyone else's HR department. If you already own and your payment is low relative to the market, the best real estate investment this year may be doing nothing. Carry the cheap debt into the future, maintain the house well, and invest your surplus elsewhere. The financial internet loves motion. Real wealth loves patience. Refinancing for a small rate change while adding years back onto the loan can cost you more than it feels like. Cash out to fund a vacation or plug a small budget hole is a slow way to torch equity. If you cash out to buy a second asset that cash flows safely and you keep a fat reserve, that can be justified. But the hurdle is high. Equity in a home is a shy animal. It doesn't like being startled without a plan. Regional risk is the part of real estate people romanticize least and regret most. Climate risk and insurance costs are now center stage. Flood maps, wildfire zones, wind exposure, and building codes that lag reality will show up as premiums that jump or coverage that retreat. In 2026, underwriting includes a call to an insurance broker before you fall in love. If insurance availability is fragile, either price that fragility into your offer or move on. Infrastructure risk matters too. In some regions, water rights will decide whether a subdivision blossoms or wilt. In others, a new train line is the difference between too far and close enough. If the asset you are buying needs a policy fight to work, you are not an investor. You are a lobbyist who haven't met yourself yet.
Taxes will not make a bad deal good, but they can make a good deal better.
Understand the way your country treats depreciation, mortgage interest, capital gains, and deductions for repairs. In some places, you can offset other income with real estate losses if you materially participate. In others, you cannot. In some places, selling a primary home lets you keep gains tax-free up to a limit. In others, less so. Do not buy a property for a deduction. Buy it for the cash flow and equity growth, and then use the tax code to keep what you earned. In 2026, as rules evolve, the winning move is not to memorize everything. It is to have a pro who answers email and to ask questions before you sign. The alternative is not a morality test, it is a calculator. If you are comparing buying a home to continuing to rent, run 5 years of realistic scenarios. Include rent growth, include insurance and repairs for the home, include transaction costs if you might move sooner than 5 years, include the investment returns on the down payment if you don't buy, and include the psychic value of stability if that matters to you. If you are comparing a rental property to index funds, compare expected cash-on-cash returns after reserves and management to what a diversified portfolio could do with no leaky roof calls at 2 a.m. There is no shame in choosing liquidity and simplicity. There is also no trophy for choosing complexity if you secretly hate it. The rich choice is the one you can keep doing through a boring year. Property management in 2026 rewards clarity. If you plan to self-manage, script your calendar in advance. How you list, how you screen without violating fair housing laws, how you collect, how you handle repairs, how you raise rent, how you document. If you plan to hire management, treat them like a partner you vet more thoroughly than your first date. References, fee schedule, communication rhythm, portfolio size, and a copy of the monthly statement template before you sign. Good managers are worth the fee. Bad ones are an expense and a hobby you didn't want. The first month you don't chase a tenant, you'll know what you're paying for. Real estate syndications and funds can be an efficient way to get exposure in 2026 if you lack time and taste for pipes and permits. They can also be a way to add fees between you and the asset. The checklist is simple and strict. Who is the operator and what have they actually operated through a full cycle? How do they get paid and when? Promote, fees, hurdles. Where is the deal and what is the business plan if rents do not rise for 18 months? What is the debt and when does it adjust? How do you exit? If the answers are marketing poetry, pass. If they are dull and specific, proceed with humility and a small percentage of your net worth. Private deals do not need your rent money. They need your patient money and your skepticism. Commercial remains a tale of two streets. Neighborhood retail that sells experiences and necessities can hum while trophy office towers struggle. Industrial and logistics near real demand remain strong. The caution is that commercial cycles are long and lumpy. If you are new, either learn beside someone who has already been blooded by a downturn or express your opinion through a public REIT where liquidity can save you from your first mistake. It is more important to survive your first cycle than to score on your first swing. Emotion clings to real estate in a way it doesn't cling to other assets because you can stand inside it. The kitchen catches light at noon and you picture yourself making pancakes. The lawn smells like childhood. The staircase looks like a movie. It is fine to buy a feeling if you are moving into it. It is foolish to buy a feeling and call it a rental. Even for a home, write the numbers first and then apply the heart test. If the numbers barely work and require a perfect future, your heart is not whispering. It is playing a violin while your bank account quietly checks the exits. There is a practical path for 2026 that requires no bravado. If you want a home, put your life on a savings rhythm that builds a down payment while you also invest in broad markets so you don't sit out compounding. Learn your target neighborhoods at the level of trash days and school pickup lines. Get pre-approved by a lender after you clean your credit report and read your own numbers out loud to hear whether they ring true. Rent until a specific address passes your math and your gut. If you want an investment, study one asset type in 1 or 2 zip codes until you can price a unit, a roof, and a rent roll from the sidewalk. Make offers that assume average luck, not perfect luck. Close the first boring deal. Run it clean for a year, only then think about the second. Real estate rewards people who treat it like a craft, not a fling. Is real estate worth it in 2026? It is worth it if the property you are considering pays you in the currency you need. stability, space, cash flow, or quiet, and if the cost in money, time, and attention leaves the rest of your life intact. It is worth it if your plan assumes you are mortal and fallible and still works. It is worth it if you can describe in one sentence how this property continues to make sense when the cycle cools or when your personal life gets loud. If you cannot write that sentence yet, you are not late, you are honest. Keep renting, keep saving, keep learning your streets. The right building will meet you when your numbers and your season agree. And when it does, you will buy with the calm of a person who knows what job they are hiring the property to do and what they are willing to pay for that job to be done well.